Hello everybody, CritCrab here with another story, this one about an extremely risky move that would either save the party in their darkest hour or annihilate them completely. Role post. I'm the DM of this group. I encourage roleplay and try and balance it against interesting combat. I'm not always successful, but I have not yet TPK'd my group yet, so I'm probably doing well in that respect. Our cast of characters. Nobbin, Goliath war wizard who weaponized potassium that was extracted from potatoes by mixing it with water. Castos, half-elf bard / paladin multiclass who has interest in an NPC who we will address soon. Goroth, Goliath fighter and Nobin's fighter, not IRL, just in-game. Maru, human fighter with a death wish. Pyra, NPC sorceress that Castos likes. Heracles, NPC right hand to the big bad evil guy in our campaign. First, some context. My homebrew campaign is set on an Earth where mythology is real and very common to encounter. It's a mid-fantasy setting, all things considered. The important thing to note is that, at the time of this story, the party was in Egypt in a temple dedicated to the dark god Set. The party was there to retrieve a piece of the then-dead god Osiris. The god piece in the temple was supposed to be destroyed in a ritual, but a scout of the big bad evil guy's forces that the party did not see watching them returned to his HQ and alerted his commander of the possibility of Osiris being resurrected at the temple. The leader of this specific part of the big bad evil guy's forces was sent to eliminate the threat. So the day of battle arrives. The party is awoken to the sound of temple guards scrambling to raise defenses against the enemy force approaching the temple. The enemy force was a team of 5 cavalry, 50 spearmen, and 1 hydra that was to be used as a siege weapon. The party devised a plan to have Pyra hold off the hydra until the party could kill the ground troops. First target, the cavalry and infantry. I forget the exact trick used, but the party had Castos use a spell to goad an early charge that was met with a combo of wizard and bard magic that mind-controlled the cavalry, who were turned on the spearmen, whose phalanx was butchering the temple guards. The cavalry died before they could be much help, but the party still managed to put a well-placed fireball to work. That managed to weaken the phalanx significantly. The fighters were able to then clean up the survivors fairly easily. Second target, the Hydra. The Hydra was getting bombarded with damage spells every turn from Pyra, but it wasn't slowing it down much. The Hydra kept on its advance. The party figured that the best way to keep the temple, and by extension the god piece, safe was to get to the Hydra ASAP and do as much damage as possible before it did anything irreversible. The strategy employed by the party was actually brilliant. Nobin would throw Maru at the Hydra so Maru could try and cut the monster's tendons in the legs and halt the advance. I tell Nobin to roll an athletics check to throw Maru at the Hydra, 18 plus some crazy modifier that put the score well over 20. I tell Maru to roll a dex save to not break his shins on the landing, 16 plus a modifier that just barely got him to a 20. Okay, I start. As a result of your rather insane operation, Maru, you land roughly 70 feet away from the Hydra and take 4 points of fall damage, but aside from that you're okay. Maru then begins to charge the Hydra full force, ready to tear it apart. The rest of the party is about 4 turns away and can only lob ranged attacks at the monster from afar before they can really unload with their high damage melee attacks. This is important to note so that there's a context for what happens next. I ask Maru to make a dex save after 1 turn was spent dashing towards the great beast. 2. I describe how Maru gets stiff-armed by a very tall man with beautiful plate and chainmail armor. Maru slides across the sand before rolling over onto his knee to face the man who had just stopped his charge. Standing before him was the 8-foot-tall, fully armored monster of a warrior, named Heracles. "Hey kid, be careful around my pet. She bites, you see." Maru, just silence. Heracles, "What's the matter? God's got your tongue." Before Heracles can finish, Maru flashes out with his +1 short sword, making 2 attacks. The first one misses, but the second is a hit. I describe how the initial strike was going to be blocked by Heracles' arm, but a quick redirection of the attack lands between the plates of metal, the tip of blades staining red, dripping onto the sand below. Heracles, Not one for banter, I see. Maru. Not one for action, I see. The battle is on. Cue Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin. Heracles and Maru both make their attacks, one with a short sword forged in Western Europe, one with a halberd forged in Southern Europe. Both warriors giving it their all. Maru burning both his second wind and action surge in 2 turns, and Heracles using a legendary action to keep up. Unfortunately for Maru, he is severely outmatched. Nobin comes in after 3 turns, using Boots of Speed, to intervene and stop Maru from getting murdered. Nobin and Maru both get slammed with 2 back-to-back critical hits. Both of them are in the single digits for health, and both are about tapped for both magic and class features. It is at this point that Maru's player realizes something. The rest of the party is in only slightly better shape and are potentially going to fight this super soldier alone as he just had. Then, an in-character exchange the likes of which I have never heard before, and likely never will hear again, took place. Maru. Nobin, give me the potassium and water skins. Nobin. Wait. Why? Maru. Just do it. Maru's player then declares that he is strapping the potassium packs and water skins to his body with spare ropes, clothes, and whatever else he can. I ask him to roll a sleight of hand check to strap it to himself. Nat 20. I describe how Maru ties several large packs of potassium to his body and the water skins as well. As he does this, Heracles casts his attention towards the rest of the party who are now within striking distance. Goroth. Alright, asshole, we're here to rip your— Goroth stops as he sees the makeshift suicide vest on Maru, and he is speechless. Heracles looks back at Maru now and sees the same thing, and is dumbfounded. Maru. I'm going to make this clear. I am covered in potassium and water, and these water skins are the only thing separating the two. You know what happens if you hit me. We both go. Consider your next move carefully. Then I ask the ultimate question. Is that the end of your turn? Maru's player responds. It's the end of my life. At this point, a majority of the party is getting a little teary-eyed and chalked up. These players that they had created, the game we all enjoyed, the world that we all explored and loved together, was approaching the final hour. We all saw what appeared to be Maru's final moments, and we didn't want it to end like this. The party was within blast radius, and the damage potential alone was enough to level a small castle's wall. The saving grace of this encounter was in Heracles' personality, a man who would much rather die in combat at the hands of a superior warrior than in a cloud of dust and fire from a superior thinker. I decide to let the dice gods determine the fate of our heroes. 11 to 20, Heracles strikes Maru and kills everyone, including himself. 1 to 10, he gives in and retreats. I roll my d20, it bounces on the table for a second. 10. I take a deep breath and I speak. After a moment of contemplation, Heracles digs the blunt end of his halberd into the sand, pulls a crystal from his pouch on his right hip, and crushes it in his hand. He begins to turn translucent. Heracles. You have guts, kid. When we meet again, I want a real fight. Me and you. No tricks, only skill. I look forward to it. And with that, Heracles disappears. Maru stands speechless for a moment before Castos begins to heal him, and Nobin takes a dagger to the bindings that allow the potassium and water skins to stick to Maru. The Hydra is killed by Pyra, who meets up with the party and she is told what happened. Fast forward a few months and the party has grown a bit and everyone is about level 10. The party is doing a big dungeon of my own creation. I have heavily modified the dungeon to suit the big dick energy of the group. They don't shy away from danger and grab glory whenever they can, so I make sure that they have plenty of opportunities to be badass. We have had a few more great moments, but those are stories for another day. End post. Big brain, Maru. Big brain. Call me the idiot I am, but I honestly had no idea what happens when you mix water and potassium while reading this story. So after I was finished reading it, the first thing I did was look up potassium and water mix. For all of you small brainers like me, this is what it does. Yeah, that. Imagine that, but with several bags of both substances. But Between you and me, you know what else has a lot of water and potassium? Bananas. That's right, you've been eating bombs this whole time. Good luck making it past airport security on a nutritious diet now, you baby brain bunch of— Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Till next time.